Hello. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Abril, and today I just wanted to hang out with you. We're gonna do a little show and tell of some books and some of my tarot and oracle cards. I hope you will enjoy the video. I also put on some little press-ons so that we can also get a more plasticky tapping sound. So let's get into it. I also made you a cherry matcha. I just put a little bit of cherry jam on the bottom. I really love matcha. I think it's a really nice caffeinated beverage for when you're not necessarily trying to drink coffee. So, like in the afternoon or even the early evening. So, I will leave this with you. Just put it on your little coaster right there. Yeah. Okay. So, a lot of you guys have said that my book videos are your favorite. Thank you. Because I moved, I don't have nearly as many books with me as I used to. And the only books I do have here are all related to gaming. I wrote my thesis for my master's degree on a video game to television adaptation. I'm really interested in these sort of adaptations. I'm a huge fan of Five Nights at Freddy's, which I mentioned in my last video as well. So that kind of piqued my interest. And so I can show you a couple of the books that I used to write my thesis. I'm sorry if you hear any outdoor sounds. Please try to ignore them. I do really like to film during the day, so it's just something we have to work around. So This book is Gamer Nation, and this is by Eric Gessinger. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this book is about the rise of modern gaming and the compulsion to play again. It says in the back, modern gaming. Who wins? Who loses? In this delightfully readable book, Gessinger suggests that we take a step back from the virtual, breaking the spell of games in order to lead a more balanced and happier life. Sticky, 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 sticky. Sticky, sticky, sticky. So, this is quite a thick book, I must say, and it's more heavy on like the economics side of the gaming industry. So while it was interesting, it wasn't the most relevant to my thesis. But it says, the American game economy has become an enormous enterprise, devouring roughly 1/9 of America's entire economic output. Crazy. This overview of arguably the most influential segment of the entertainment industry examines the perspectives of digital gaming enthusiasts, addicts, designers, arcade owners, psychologists, philosophers, and more. Weighing the positive and negative aspects of electronic games, the author considers their effect not only upon the players, but upon culture and society. What trade-offs are being made when people play these games for 20 plus hours a week? And it says that he talks in particular about Candy Crush Saga, which was released in 2013. So what do you guys think about that? Does it sound interesting to you? There's been a huge rise in the amount of video games that are now being adapted into TV or film, and it used to be quite the opposite. It used to be often that big TV or film releases would be accompanied by a video game, like Tomb Raider, the Lara Croft series being one example. And this book, which has a lot of tabs, this book is called Watch Me Play, and I think this one was probably the most relevant to my thesis, and just overall a super entertaining read. I highly recommend this one. It's by T.L. Taylor, and says Twitch and the rise of game live streaming. Something that I found really fascinating and wanted to explore with my thesis was fandom, especially around live streaming. I'm not necessarily much of a gamer myself. I like to play, cozy games, but I love watching streams. I think since I was like 10, with like PewDiePie and stuff, like I just found so much comfort in watching someone who was skilled play video games, because I'm not very skilled. So I think my curiosity kind of spiked from there, just trying to understand why I love watching those streams so much when I don't even play video games like that. So this heavily goes into live streaming. She, or they, I'm not sure, they interview many live streamers and talk to them about what brought them success or what they can attribute that success to. I can read a little bit of the blurb on the back for you. It says that this book is a look at the revolution in game live streaming and esports broadcasting. Every day, thousands of people broadcast their gaming live. Let me start that again. Every day, thousands of people broadcast their gaming live to audiences over the internet using popular sites such as Twitch, which reaches more than 100 million viewers a month. Wow. In these new platforms for interactive entertainment, big esports events featuring digital game competitors live stream globally, and audiences can interact with broadcasters and each other through chat in real time. What are the ramifications of this exploding online industry? Taking readers inside home studios and backstage at large esports events, Watch Me Play investigates the rise of game live streaming and how it is poised to alter how we understand media and audiences. There's a bit more to the blurb, but I think that's really a good gist of it. It pretty much explores this idea of fans becoming producers, how fans help produce the content they watch through chat. I think chat is really interesting and fascinating to me. How we not only, connect with these streamers, but also with each other and build these little communities with perks and events and fundraisers. I think all of that's really fascinating. I think it's just interesting that someone who's just, posting their hobby can basically become a small celebrity online and create like a very niche sort of path for themselves. And just because they have millions of followers doesn't necessarily mean they're famous in the classic sense of the word, of people knowing them as like a household name, but they might be to you. Like if I say Hassan Piker, you guys might not all know who that is, but to me, he's someone I watch all the time, so he is a household name to me. I don't know if that makes sense, but shout out Hassan. So this one I used a lot for my research. I mean, you can see all the tabs, and I also took extensive notes and highlighted. I mean, I really went through this book, but I think if it's something that fascinates you as well, I would highly recommend reading this book. It is a Princeton Press book, so it was a little bit hard to find here in Europe, but if you're in the States, you should have no issue finding it. Alright, so the next book that we have is called Hollywood Gamers. Hollywood Gamers. And this is by Robert Allen Brookie. Robert Allen Brookie. And we have like a little game of Tetris on the front. And the subtext says, digital convergence in the film and video game industries. This one speaks pretty directly to my line of interest. Just looking at how games can be made with like a cinematic experience in mind, or even vice versa. I mean, if you think about Netflix's Bandersnatch, which was an episode of Black Mirror, it was very, very much so structured to be a game that you could participate in and manipulate to follow your own path. And so I think it's just interesting when movie making and gaming collide. Should we read a little bit of the back here as well? Let's see. It says, for years, major film studios have licensed products related to their most popular films. Video game spin-offs have become an important part of these licensing practices. Where blockbuster films are concerned, the video game release has become the rule rather than the exception. In Hollywood Gamers, Robert Allen Brookie explores the business conditions and technological developments that have facilitated the convergence of the film and video game industries. Brookie treats video games as rhetorical texts and critically examines several games to determine how specific industrial conditions are manifest in game design. Among the games and films discussed are The Lord of the Rings, The Godfather, Spider-Man, and Iron Man. And this is from Indiana University Press, so also probably easier to find in the US if you're interested. This one is actually quite a short book. Let's see how many pages it says. Only 140 pages, so it's quite a lot more doable than the other books I had mentioned to you, in case you're interested in the topic but don't really have the time to invest in a longer text. So that's another cool read. Hollywood Gamers. And last but certainly not least, we have a book that I would say is quite well known. If you've been interested in this topic, you might be familiar with this text. This is called Convergence Culture by Henry Jenkins. You got that classic iPod and a little dock on the front. Have you guys ever owned one of these? Maybe I'm slightly aging myself by saying this, but these were amazing. I miss my iPod. Such an era. Alright, so this is the updated version with a new afterword, where old and new media collide. So I brought this book into my project because nearly every text that I read referenced this text in one way or another, just to talk about how things are connected and interwoven in the film industry, but also just technologically in general. And I think it's very, very interesting to read, not just if you're interested in film, but just as someone living in this very digital age. And so we can read a little bit of the back as well. It says, Henry Jenkins, one of America's most respected media analysts, delves beneath the new media hype to uncover the important cultural transformations that are taking place as media converge. He takes us into the secret world of Survivor, where avid internet users pull their knowledge, Survivor spoilers, where avid internet users pool their knowledge to unearth the show's secrets before they are revealed on the air. He introduces us to young Harry Potter fans, we don't stand, who are writing their own Hogwarts tales while executives at Warner Brothers struggle for control of their franchise. Jenkins provides a riveting introduction into the world where every story gets told and every brand gets sold across multiple media platforms. He explains the cultural shift that is occurring as consumers fight for control across disparate channels, changing the way we do business, elect our leaders, and educate our children. This paperback edition has been thoroughly updated and features substantial new material that addresses, among other things, the promise and perils of Web 2.0 and the rise of YouTube. It also says that Henry Jenkins is the director of the Comparative Media Studies program at MIT, and he's the author and editor of 11 books from NYU Press. This was also the winner of the 2007 Society for Cinema and Media Studies Book Award. So it kind of mentions things that I already touched on. Fans becoming producers. I, for one, used to write so much fan fiction, especially in middle school. I think if I read that now, the ones that I wrote, it would be pretty disturbing. But back then, it was a way for me to participate in the community. And as someone who grew up online and in fandoms, the K-pop fandom was one of the best things that happened to me. I had so many friends that I made that I still talk to, and I felt like I had a whole life and defined purpose through these online fandoms, through this form of media that felt very new to me. It wasn't new, but it was new to me at that time. So I think it's really interesting, the whole Web 2.0 aspect as well. We have become, all of us, almost like influencers. Even if we don't have a big following, we post in the same way that an influencer might. And you never know whose video can go viral and who's going to be the next influencer or YouTuber or whatever it be. So I think it's really interesting how we went from having these private moments that we record maybe and we keep on VHS tapes forever to a space where we record ourselves, but we upload it for millions of people to consume and watch and see, and it really transformed how we define, I think, public and private spheres of our life. It's funny because I would consider myself, surprisingly, maybe to you guys, a private person in real life. I keep mostly to a small group of friends, and I like to keep news and stuff like that close to my chest, or relationships, all of that. But because I do share a lot online, I think sometimes people might feel entitled to more, and so they expect me to be willing to share anything. But it's not always the case, And I think that's something that's changing for me a lot in the past years, redefining what I want to make public and what should be private, even from my online community. In the past, it was hard for me to distinguish that, and I think those lines became a bit blurred, and that can be problematic, I think, when you don't know where real life ends and internet life starts, or vice versa. Especially when it's also your job. can be a bit stressful, and I think it kind of takes the fun out of being online and in those communities. It's supposed to be unplugging from your daily life. So I would like to find that balance a little bit more in my life, online and off. But yeah, those were the books for my thesis. I read a lot more, but they were mostly online. So if you have any book recommendations that are similar to this, I would love to hear them and just to hear your thoughts. What do you guys think of the internet, YouTube, streaming, about gaming and film? I would love to hear what you think. And if you have a favorite streamer or video game that you like to play or a movie, I would love to hear about all of that stuff. So, sound off below. Alright, we still have quite a bit of time, so I want to continue and we're going to pivot a little bit, but we're going to look at my tarot and oracle card decks. I'm not sure if I've ever shown them to you up close and in depth, but these are the ones I always use. I swear by, I love them, so I'm going to show them to you. This is my little tarot deck. It's quite miniature, but I like it because you can kind of like take it on the go or just pack it up in your bag. It's not very heavy or anything like that. So this is by Vanessa DeCourt. I believe she's the artist. And it says on the side here, Sun and Moon Tarot offers unique interpretations of traditional tarot, incorporating ancient cultural symbols from mythology, astrology, and world spiritual systems. The 78 pocket-sized cards featuring black borders, as originally designed by Vanessa DeCourt, showcase her fresh, contemporary artwork. It also includes a 64-page booklet. I can show you a couple. So this is what the back of the cards look like. It's very sleek. Here we have the little booklet, which is also very fun sized. And it has a brief little explanation about what the card means. I would also recommend probably using like Biddy Tarot or something because it's quite brief, so it's not gonna give you like a meaning for like a love reading or past, present, future positions. So it's very like minimal, but be really fun to do like a little reading for you guys. I love those like TikTok videos where they do like readings. Not that I necessarily always believe that, but it's just like fun, you know. That's a pretty one. So I just find them really gorgeous for someone like me who can't shuffle. I really like these tiny little cards for shuffling because they fall out easier, and that's how I normally pick tarot. I know everyone has a little bit of a different technique, but I normally just shuffle them around a little bit and see what falls out organically rather than picking cards out of the deck. So that's my classic tarot deck. Next, we have this deck of, it's a divination deck or like an oracle deck basically. So rather than being tarot cards, they are cards dedicated to ancient goddesses and heroines. Each card tells the story of an ancient woman and what she represents. And I really love these cards because they teach really unique lessons through the cards. And I don't know, they're just positioned in a really like beautiful way, and the cards are gorgeous. Let's see if it'll focus. I think the artwork, it's 52 different cards by, it says Kay Steventon and Brian Clark. They just look so gorgeous. You can take a look at a few. This is the little booklet. Let's give it a little shuffle. You can already see how beautiful they are. This one is Grace Charities. I've actually never pulled that. Never seen that one. Ah, we got the one that's on the back. So this is an oracle deck that I would highly like to recommend to you. I think all the little stories that it tells are very fascinating. And I think the artwork is just, absolutely stunning, to be honest. We have Lover and Sacrifice. So yeah, this one, if I remember correctly, I purchased at Barnes & Noble. It's getting quite old, so the edges are very frayed. The next oracle deck I have here, has a really good tapping sound. The next one is called Conscious Spirit Oracle Deck, and this is by Kim Dreyer. And it includes 44 cards and a guidebook as well. Again, I think the art is quite beautiful. And like the Ancient Goddess one, this one also has little stories. Each card has a sentence to basically follow. And this one delves into the idea of chakras and has a lot of recommendations for things you can do. So each card might have a recommended daily practice or might be linked to a chakra that then you can go and do more research on. So I think that's cool. I won't open it because you get the gist. And my last oracle deck is quite similar to the last one. This one is only 36 cards. It's called Self-Love Oracle. And this one also goes deeply into chakra healing, which is what it says right there. And it's by Akal Pritam. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It also has really beautiful artwork. And yeah, usually when I'm going to read my tarot, I'll pick 3 of the classic tarot and then 1 of each oracle card to provide some more context to what the tarot might be pointing to or trying to tell me. Alright, so last but certainly not least, I thought we could do a fun little unboxing and playtime with some of my new obsessions, which are the needoh, Nice Cube, and Snowball. I eventually really want to do a whole video on fidgets and maybe creating my own fidget board, but for now we'll just do like a quick little playtime with it. The first fidget I have is not from needoh. I actually don't know. Let's see. It's called the Fidget Cube. And it has many different sides with different things you can do. This side is for kind of spinning it around or up and down. You can just move it. And then we have clicky buttons. And each button has a different kind of texture to it. So this one doesn't really click. And that one too. You can even hear the difference between clicking noises. Right? And it's fun to kind of click them all together. I love the clicky sounds. Let's see, on this side, you have this little spinny guy. Which is pretty boring to me. Here you have a switch. Man, this one is and then you have this little ball which also clicks in. So my favorite thing to do is to click all the buttons and the ball. I think that's the best thing to do with this. So that was my first purchase of a fidget and I loved it. The next thing I got was this masterpiece of an object. So this is called the needoh Nice Cube, and it will eventually go back to its original shape. It is so satisfying when it's cold. It's a bit harder to squish, but then as you start manipulating it, it becomes really, really soft and really, really malleable, and that's really fun. I've actually ripped mine quite a lot. I've already super glued it a couple times, but I think I'm just like really aggressive with it when you're not necessarily supposed to be, I think. So something to keep in mind with this. After that, I went back and got another needoh product. This is the snowball. And I got this one actually specifically for the sound. I like that it sounds like crunching snow. And this one also broke and the powder started coming out everywhere, so I had to super glue it. But something that's fun is doing it together. So I actually got myself another nice cube just in case mine breaks. I really want the new one. I think it's called like the iceberg or something like that. It's like huge size. It looks so cool. Shall we unbox a fresh new needoh? I'm so excited. When they're new, they're so beautiful and satisfying. Come on out. That is actually insane. Before we start squishing it, look at the difference, guys. This is my old one. See how cloudy it is? And the new one, it is like night and day. Alright, guys. So, first squish. Do you want to give it the first squish? Here, you try it. Ready? Can you see me through it? See, it's like harder because it's new. So I would love to know if you have any favorite fidgets, ones that I can possibly purchase and make a longer video with. I love these especially, although they don't make much of a sound. I mean, just a little bit, right? There's like a squishy sound. These keep my hands really busy, and when I'm anxious, I tend to pick at my cuticles, and so this allows me to not do that and focus on squishing instead. I find like while watching a movie, I really enjoy squishing these. So yeah, if you have any recommendations for fidgets, please drop them down below. Alright, guys. Alright. So that was really fun. I hope that you guys also enjoyed this little show and tell. I would love to do another one soon with some of my records. Maybe like other little trinkets that I have. So thank you so much for watching and for your continuous support. I was super overwhelmed and happy with your response on my last video, and I certainly did not expect the response after being away for years. So thank you so much. And let me know what you guys would like to see next. Love you guys, and I will see you in the